Coming up on OTH, Raymond and I cover the previous patch 11.17 League of Legends content and our picks of the week before talking about the LCS Championship Playoffs and Worlds qualifiers from around the world. We hope you enjoyed this episode of On the Hunt. Welcome, everybody, to episode 28 of On the Hunt, a League of Legends podcast. I'm your co-host, Chris, aka the Vitamin Boy, because I've been chewing a lot of vitamin gummies lately, just for fun, just because they're tasty. And if I could eat more than two, then I would.
I don't think you can overdose on vitamins, so I think you're good. I'm sure you can, but there's no way that you actually will,
Yeah, I think little kids can quote unquote overdose, or just feel super sick, and then their body can't expel it fast enough.
Yeah, they start to turn green or something.
Yeah, and that's how I want to go. Just too much vitamin B that's how I want to leave this earth.
Your headstone just says 17,000 Flintstone vitamins in a row, just to see what would happen.
Yeah. And joining me on this episode of the On the Hunt podcast is our other co-host, Raymond. What's up, man?
Hey, not much, dude. Just the usual for me. Been playing some games last week, got some Valorant in, got a little bit more Humankind in.
Okay.
Some League of
mixture
Legends
of games.
Too. Yeah, just trying some stuff out.
So as we have discussed before, I'm not much of a gamer. Mm-hmm. So how do you feel about games that were you play them and then you come back to them later, let's say Valorant or something like that, and then there's so much stuff that has changed, or they add new champions, so to speak, or and that sort of thing. Does that bother you?
I think it kind of depends on the game and how invested I was with it beforehand, I think with Valorant, for example, I've only really played Valorant during the beta, and so I kind of knew what was going on then, and what every hero did and whatever. And now there are definitely some more that I don't know, obviously. But also at the same time, I don't really give a shit about how well I do in Valorant. I'm pretty okay with being kind of bad at it, just because I don't play it very much, and also I'm bad at shooters most of the time. So yeah, I don't know. That doesn't bother me so much. If I was good, with League, I feel like if I came back after taking a long break, which I've not really ever done, but if I came back from League after taking a long break and then there was some Yone champion that I didn't know what the fuck he did and he just was solo killing me all over and over, I would probably be pissed. But yeah, for the most part, I don't think I play games like that are too wild.
Yeah, I think I have taken a couple breaks here and there, and on from League, and then when you come back to it and there's a new champion or something, I think it's kind of cool just to see what they could do without you knowing it, and then it's frustrating when it feels like there's no counterplay. I remember, I think one of the first times I took a break was around 2000. Well, I guess it wasn't really a break, but I must have been doing school or something, and so when I came back, I remember the first game somebody played Lissandra against me, and I was like, holy shit, she can gap close, but you can't really tell, and then she stuns you 5 different times in 5 different ways. That's pretty cool. And that just added to my fascination of the game back then when I was a wee little youngin.
Yeah.
But then I remember earlier this year when I was playing again around December and January, pretty much I didn't play for the last half of 2020, and so I still had to learn what set did and that sort of thing, and it took me a long time to get over what set is capable of, and kind of actually understanding why does he get so much move speed, why is he always so hard to kill, it feels frustrating to play against, and so I'm not too sure how I feel about it. And then I don't play many other games as well, and I feel if I were to want to go play another game, if I want to chill out and play a game of Rocket League or something, I would hope that Rocket League is the same way that I remember it or something like that.
Yeah, there are definitely games where you don't have to worry about shit changing, right? Rocket League is basically the same, right? Just besides whatever cosmetics you get. And then the thing, when you said Valorant, I was thinking for the most part with Valorant, it's mostly like CS:GO still, right? Like I don't know the maps. I don't know some of the new maps, and you go into those first couple games like, what the fuck? Like where do I go? I don't know any angles or where people are going to come from at the start. But then you play it
Yeah.
a couple times and it's like fine, you know how to play the game generally. And then like CS:GO, like I can go back to CS:GO. I've haven't played that in a really long time, but it doesn't matter. Just because the game is so it's the same always, right? Like maybe there were some nerfs to guns, but that doesn't matter for me because I'm not actually good.
Yeah.
I think I do it like I think WoW is probably the only game where I've taken like I take breaks just because that's how everybody plays WoW that isn't a hardcore gamer, right? Where you play at the beginning of every new expansion. And like for me, I've basically only played one character in WoW like forever, and it's a priest. And like for the first expansion that I played a disc priest, and then after that I switched to a shadow priest and only played shadow priest. Um, so like for me, they'll like WoW will go into the new season and like just completely fuck up your shit. Like I've played like three different versions of Shadow Priest that are like it's like worse than like Rise reworks, you know? Like some of the spells stay the same, but like the core like how you play the character like is totally different. Um and like so I that like that's happened to me a few times, but like I don't really care and it's like at the same time it's kind of cool like to go and figure out what new abilities you have and like what your combo is and those kind of things. So that doesn't bother me, but that's probably because I'm like a super casual with that game still too. So it's like it doesn't make a big deal.
All right, that's some good insight to the mind of a gamer. Now let's get into some League of Legends today with a patch that we're 1 week late to, but we get around to it. It's a patch 11.17, which we did cover the preview for it, so there's a couple points that we can just cover over again. Um, and some things that I noticed from playing a couple of ARAMs is that a lot of people are taking advantage of the change to Zaya's ulti, where it does a lot more damage now. And apparently her Q feels really nice as well now that the speed of it scales with the attack speed or
Mhm.
the cast time, I mean. And so overall, I'm really glad to have seen that change. And then I think I misunderstood the Lucian change that came out in this patch, where I thought they were taking away his double shot, but that's not the case. They're
Oh
just giving
yeah,
him
no.
like extra damage
Hmm.
when you buff him. Um, well, when you enchant him, I mean. So I'm glad to see that as well. Other than that, there's some Viego changes in here that I care about, and then there's the Ghostblade change that we were really looking forward to from when we previewed this patch as well.
Yeah.
Was there anything that stuck out to you in this patch?
I think those are kind of the big ones that we've already talked about. I think the fleet footwork changes are pretty considerable too. It's a decent like buff to the healing early on for a lot of cheap champions, even though you're still like getting it reduced on minions. Just like having like some base value at the beginning of the game for champs is nice when you have like low health pools already. Um, so I think that's an interesting one. Probably we'll see. Like I've already seen you see like some Jins running it now too. When a lot of them were defaulting to Dark Harvest, and I'm sure we'll see like Caitlyn's or other like mid lane champs kind of get away with some of it now too. Um, and then I think too the other one, yeah, I think you said the Zaya one. That's interesting. I still haven't played any Zaya with it, but it's it's a nice change, just the quality of life kind of Q change. And then I think the Senna change is one that I'm interested in playing too. I tried to play like a game of it, and my team totally trolled me, like not letting me play in any fights. So it wasn't my fault, but it felt kind of nice. I don't know. You don't. It's hard to notice just soul drop rate changes. Like if I'm farming a lot, it still just feels like I'm not getting a ton of souls.
Yeah, I could see that. I've always thought that was weird, like just an RNG based passive, I guess, and like thinking that the percentage was so low in the first place at like almost under 5%,
Hmm.
then like that's so weird. That it affects the scaling of your character. Like
Yeah.
in one game you could have like 40 souls after 20 minutes, and then in another game you might not, or you might have more.
Yeah, it's definitely
Oh,
kind
and
of weird that it's such a like a key part of it too, right? It's not like Thresh where you kind of don't care how many souls you get, you'll pick them up, but it's not like you're waiting
Oh
for
yeah,
breakpoints and
yeah. You
breakpoints.
could get no souls the whole game as Thresh, and
Yeah,
like you'll feel silly because it gives you armor.
yeah,
But other than that, it's just kind of like a gimmick, and
yeah.
like honestly, it could just be there for like lore or something, you know. But for Senna, it like really matters. How do you actually that kind of like we can just go on like a side topic here, like how do you feel about passives or like abilities that give you more range? I'm talking more about like Senna, Kindred, Tristana, I guess. Like, is that kind of weird that you get more range as the game goes on, or like should they just be at a certain range all game? Um, does that
Um,
matter to you?
I think it's I think it's fine. It's one of those that it's nice. I mean, it's really powerful, like to have a lot of range, like in League in general. And I think
Yeah.
the only one that really abuses that is is Senna. That when she was getting like a ton of souls, like you can tell when Senna has 800 range. Like that's a big deal. Tristana, like you have to be kind of good at Trist, I think, to really make use of it because so many people are just gonna W in and kill themselves anyway. It doesn't matter what range they are. Um, the like Kindred, I think when she really pops off, right? Like you can get a lot of range, and that's a pretty big deal. She does a lot of damage, and that people don't expect when she has like 625 or 650 range. Um, but I think it's I think it's fine. You know, it has to be tuned right, definitely. Like you can't get there too fast because it's super oppressive if you're like scaling to that range really quickly. But it's interesting. It's definitely fun to play with.
Yeah, I think my only opinion on it is that it sucks for Kindred to have to like have that be gated behind killing marked champs or marked champs or marked camps. Yeah, and then I wish like some aspect of it was like almost guaranteed, like Kane transformation, I guess. Where like I would hope it would be cool if like after a certain point they just give you like the range increase for Kindred or something like that.
Mhm.
Because like if the game has to give it to you by like 25 minutes, then you're already having a miserable time or something like that.
Yeah.
That's just my thinking. Back to the patch. Another I guess kind of janky change that came in this patch is changes to GP's barrels where they do super damage now, and then there's like a clip of Tyler one getting one shot on Annie.
Mhm.
So I guess that's kind of funny. Kind of weird and BS that it can like crit so strongly, but I'm glad people are having fun with that.
Yeah, it is kind of interesting to see how strong it'll be because I've definitely seen more like streamers play GP and go crit GP, and like you said, those one shots or that one shot in particular. I've played against it in like an ARAM maybe where I noticed it like he hit the enemy GP had like a crit cloak and a sheen at the beginning of the game, right? And then popped out and hit like one Q or one barrel on like two or three of us that did like 300 damage, and I was sitting there like, what the fuck was that? Why did I just get like half health by a GPQ? It's like 3 minutes into the game, and then it was like that was surprising, but I don't know. I think I'm okay with playing or with seeing crit GPs in more games than just like having a bruiser GP really prevalent. Uh, Usually I feel like you can if you're good at like stopping the E's or you're ganged up on him and he doesn't have barrels set up and stuff like that, it's really easy to punish the crit GP as opposed to the bruiser GPs that are feel extra tanky and still do a lot of damage. Um, so I think it's more fun to play with and against, even when you can get super one shot.
Okay, that's fair. I would just hate to get one shot before you could even touch him. Is my only concern.
Mhm.
Anything else for this patch you want to touch on?
I think have you played any of the Amumu changes or seen anybody with Amumu? I feel like I've seen more people try to play him, but it doesn't seem crazy.
Yeah, it looks like fun. Like it looks like you should probably just try it just for like curiosity's sake. But I don't know how crazy they look like. Where basically you can hold charges of your Q now, and so you can have up to two charges of Q, with 3 seconds in between them, and then I think they made some changes to his W as well. But I don't know. That champ needs a rework probably, or some I don't know. It would have to be like kind of a Mundo level rework where like most like most of the things stay the same about him
Yeah.
to keep like the functionality and identity of the champion the same, but then like just like buff it in certain ways or give him a different passive or um, make his E put like a 3-hit passive on his E or something like that. Who knows what they would do?
Yeah.
But I think that's Amumu needs an upgrade in some way or form.
I could see that. I feel like you just need to keep his Q and R. Like his W and E don't matter. They're just there so that he does some
Yeah,
damage.
that's probably how I identify Amumu. It's just his Q and R.
I think he has to have his tiers somehow. Like his W might not be his W, like not the same. Like maybe when he hits an ability, he cries around him or something. But there, he'd have to have some tiers. That's for sure.
And then lastly, with this patch came some new skins. 5 skins from the Crime City skin line that I believe all of the people of League of Legends voted upon a long, long time ago. So we have Crime City Nightmare Equality, Crime City Shaiko, Crime City Twisted Fate, Crime City Darius, and Crime City Zyra. And then 3 more skins came out with Brave Phoenix Zaya, with no Recon skin to go with that. So I feel like that's a crime. Divine Phoenix Anivia and Graceful Phoenix Seraphine, which it looks a lot like an Irelia skin.
Yeah, I thought the same thing too.
But other than that, it looks nice.
Yeah, they're kind of cool skins. I don't know. I don't know that I've seen any of the Crime City Nightmare ones like in game at all. But the Phoenix ones are kind of neat. The Anivia one is almost weird. Like it's trying its best to not make her just like fire Anivia. It's not using really like red colors or whatever, but it's still kind of has to be fire Anivia because it's like a Phoenix.
Yeah, true. And then speaking of skins, I think there's also I was surprised to learn that there's like bonus RP given that's being given out right now. So if you purchase like one of the RP packs for like $10 or more, then like the bonus RP that you would get, where it's like plus 200, that part is doubled as like a limited time event. And that kind of just brings me back to like the olden days of League of Legends, where like I remember there were some times where they would do like double IP weekends or something like that, and it feels
Mm,
like it's been a while since they do like events like these where like they will, I guess nowadays they just do events with like the tokens, and then like
yeah,
you get 300 tokens for free and then you spend it like, and all of that is for free, and they could just not have that
right.
and you would still play the game. But I don't know. There's some things I miss, and I feel like they could spoil players more, or like try to keep their player base happy by giving them more free stuff, or more events to play around, or more incentives to play more. Um, I don't know.
Yeah, I kind of
That's
I,
just
I know
me.
what you mean. It's the like double RP stuff or like double like XP stuff. Like that's something it doesn't matter. Like even if they did like a double XP weekend in League, you'd get more blue essence or whatever from the champion capsules, but like it doesn't matter. But it feels kind of like, hey, we're just doing this to do it for you guys. Like go have fun. Where like the event and like the tokens and stuff feels a lot more like this is a thing that we're trying to make money off of. Like it doesn't. It's not quite the same. Um, so I get what you mean.
Yeah, definitely. And I feel like every other game, every other like let's say like battle royale or any other MOBA game, I feel like when they have a battle pass, like I'm really incentivized to grind it out. And like especially if they have like a double battle pass XP along with that, like I feel like dude, for these next 5 days I have to play this game. Like it's not allowed for me to play anything else because it's double XP right now, dude. It would be a waste if I didn't use it.
Yeah,
And so I feel like there's some missed opportunity there.
I
But
think
anyways, we probably
I
oh, go
think
ahead.
that might be partially because League is pretty good about giving you stuff normally. I think that's why it might feel better. It's like it's different than like you play a gacha game that has like absolute shit drop rates, right? And then they have an event where it's like, oh, you can get, double the chance of getting a legendary unit or something. And it's like you go from 0.001% chance to 0.002% chance. And then it makes you feel like this is the only time you can ever get this unit, stuff like that. Like,
Yeah.
because it's like already too hard for those games, it feels worse, or it feels like more important to go and do the grinding on the events and stuff. Whereas like in League, it's like, yeah, it doesn't feel. I don't know. I guess I shouldn't say shit because I've had all the chance unlocked for like 6 years or something. But it's like you don't always feel like I have to do this because I need the currency because the currency feels useless and the tokens feel useless or whatever unless you like really want a champ skin or something.
Yeah, I feel that. Yeah, I feel like we don't care as much because we have this all the champions already. But I would hate to know how long it takes to unlock 160 champions right now.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah.
Okay, that was probably too much to spend on the patch notes. Now we can move on to some content. For me, I think I watched Summoning Insight yesterday, and then I might have watched or just watched the dive from last week. Other than that, I don't think of much. Oh, and then I also watched the Crackdown with Peter Dunn. I think that's all of the content that from this past week that I consumed. Maybe some Travis Gafford interviews here and there, but I can't remember anything for some reason.
Yeah, I don't think for me I was watching much League of Legends content this last week. Just the LCS and LEC, but
Oh,
no
yes, yes,
outside
yes.
stuff.
All right then. And then we can do some picks of the week right now and get
Yeah,
started with that.
go for it. Or do you want me to?
How do you feel? You want to go first this time?
Yeah, I can go first. I'll take it
All
away.
right, go for it.
You take that burden too many times for sure. But then I'm gonna say that, but then I'm gonna do this once and feel like, yeah, I'm good. You can take it, Chris, from now on. 40 more episodes. Um, anyway, yeah, my pick of the week this week, we talked about him a little bit in the patch notes, but it's going to be Lucian, and I'm going to say it's Lucian Bot. Um, I don't know, Lucian is definitely one of my favorite champs, like that I used to play way back in the day a lot more. He's not been, as in the meta for 80 carry players for a while. I'll still pick him when I go mid because that's obnoxious and I'm, good at him, but I don't get to play him in the bottom lane as often. Um, I haven't tried them yet with the new changes, but I think they're pretty interesting, and you can probably get away with some pretty cool bot lanes in the that you don't usually see anymore. Playing Lucian with like enchanter supports is pretty good. You have a lot of agency on your own, and having like the ability to have a Lulu shield you or a Nami heal you and you dash in is pretty powerful in terms of punishing the enemy champs in lane. So going stuff like that, like Nami, Lulu, that can take advantage of his new passive, is probably pretty good, judging by just how they used to be. It still probably isn't great into a lot of champs. Just having low range is still hard to function in the bottom lane, but you got a lot of melee champs still that are supports. Um, you might have a hard time going into like something like Draven, but you can kind of trade with them if you can rival his burst if you get your full combo off, but if you don't kill him, then it's kind of doomed. But he's a fun champ. It'll be good to see him back in the bot lane if he makes his way there.
All right, I like that. I definitely love me some Lucian, and yeah, it always feels good to play him mid lane as well, where you can feel like you can get a level advantage on everybody, and then you have like two items when people are barely have one and a half, and then you just kind of take over the game, and you one tap a lot of people who kind of get close to you with like just a full rotation of all your skills.
Yeah.
Have you tried out um like the Gale Force Cyrilda's kind of build where like you just slow somebody with your ulti forever and then kill them like instantly?
Yeah, I think I played a game or two of it. I haven't. It's been a while. I just don't play like enough mid lane to do it. But yeah, I think I tried a game or two. It's
Yeah,
like it's kind of fun.
it's pretty strong. Yeah.
It's kind of fun. If you fall behind, I feel like it's kind of bad, but it's pretty. Yeah, it's pretty fun.
All right, that's awesome. For me, my pick of the week is going to be a little bit spoilerous for later, but my pick of the week is going to be Huhi, who is now a two-time LCS champion. Why are you laughing, dude?
That's not a pick. He's a player.
He's my player pick of the week.
Okay.
And so, the first time he won the LCS was back in spring 2016, and then he went to MSI afterwards, got second place, and then it's cool to see him still in the league 5 years later, and to get another trophy while also having role swapped as well. And then so it's just great to see that journey and great to see somebody who imported over, got their residency. They're still playing in the LCS. So, with the loss of like some big name people like Bjergsen, like Double F, like sometimes you kind of forget that there's other like legacy players here as well. A lot of people still talk about Afremu and such, but some of the other ones like Stixay, I feel like nobody likes Stixay anymore, or like other like those kind of like legacy people as well. Even Dardoch could have been on that list, but he's not
Yeah.
playing right now.
Stixay
And
played on
so,
CLG too long, so he's like still he was there when, it was cool to be on CLG, and then he stayed until it was like not cool to be on CLG, and CLG
yeah, a
just
little
stuck.
too long.
So
And so, yeah, just shout outs to Huhi, who had some like I would say he had a few rough patches in between these two championships. Even especially around like 2017, 2018. He probably wasn't having a good time on CLG, and then I don't remember this, but apparently he also played for 100 Thieves
yeah, he was
back in
one of
like
the mid laners to get
2018.
benched. Yeah.
Yeah, and I don't remember that at all for some reason. I was really surprised to like hear that and then also go confirm it on like his wiki page as well.
I think that was the
Um,
last place that he played mid, right? Before he role swapped.
it must have been. I believe that was 2019. Does that sound right? I'm not too sure.
Maybe the
18 or
year
19,
before.
because
18.
it was
Because I think
yeah,
19 Golden
Ryu
Guardians
was
was when
still
he was.
involved with
Yeah.
it. Yeah, and then he must have role swapped or played in academy for some time, and then he was picked up again in 2020 by Golden Guardians. That's right, and then benched by Keith, and then played more support again.
Yeah.
But anyways, yeah, just a long journey for the player, and cool to see him get another championship, get the first seed to LCS, and then he'll be off to Worlds. And then I just spoiled the whole thing, the whole next segment.
It's okay. If you didn't know and you're listening to the show, then you're not worried about the spoilers, I think.
Yeah, probably not. So, anyways, now we can talk about the LCS Championship Playoffs. Now concluded. Last weekend we had two sets of games. We had 100 Thieves versus C9, which we could start with. I believe this one ended in a 3-way game score, and this one went really well for 100 Thieves. It looked like I think before we were saying that C9 was probably going to take the cake on this one, but coming into the games, and having seen 100 Thieves face off, go to 5 games with EG, and then have a rough time against TL in the series before, I didn't really have high expectations for them coming into the C9 match, but they really they really spread their wings here, so to speak.
Yeah, I mean, I felt like the one with egg on my face. It seemed like you were certainly higher on 100 Thieves last week than I was on them. I don't know, going into it, I was like, it's C9TL finals like 200%. I think a lot of other analysts, like even just in on broadcast and stuff, the predictions that they did, a lot of people had 100 Thieves for this one, or sorry, C9 for this one. But yeah, I mean, 100 Thieves just kind of crushed them in a lot of ways that it kind of felt like C9 did to TSM the weekend before. Like it wasn't necessarily always like C9 played really bad or they had like terrible like positions. They had winning spots in games and leads and those kind of things, but just couldn't close it out. And 100 Thieves just looked like a lot better.
Yeah, and I think that the games that 100 Thieves won in, they made it look pretty good as well. Like in those games that TSM kind of stomped over C9, I feel like 100 Thieves victories looked like that over C9 as well, where
Right.
it felt like it wasn't a close game in the games that C9 won. Typically 100 Thieves got a solid lead somewhere in the middle of the game, and then they took it from there.
Yeah, I mean, I think besides like that game two, I think it was right where C9 had a lead for a while, and then Aphelios just did Aphelios things, got like way too strong later. FBI popped off, but yeah, I mean, it was a decent series, I thought.
Yeah, still exciting for me as well. And it's kind of weird that like, that the teams in this match they still go to Worlds, so that's not at stake here. But
Yeah,
now C9 secures the third place, and then I believe they'll be going to
they got to go to
like
play-ins,
the
baby.
play-ins. Yeah,
Yeah,
that's the word I was looking for. The play-ins.
they get to be Mad Lions this year and get knocked out of play-ins by an
Ooh,
OCE
we'll
team or
see. We'll
something.
see. Yeah, after seeing MSI, it's not impossible,
True. True.
unfortunately. Yeah, so 100 Thieves take the series against C9, and then they move on to face TL over in Sunday, which and spoiler alert, this series ended in a 3-0. And I didn't really pay attention to the first two games, um, but I did fully watch with full attention the third game, and I was just really impressed with the way that the whole team was playing. I thought Closer was playing exceptionally well,
Yeah.
and Abadage was following it up with some really great wise ultis to reposition the team and really help them secure leads and finish out kills that otherwise would have gotten away. And so it just looked like everybody on the 100 Thieves team was just really cracked that day,
Yeah.
sipping on some G Fuel probably. And, at the end of it, they gave like player of the series to Closer, who I definitely feel like he deserved it. Um, just watching his play on Lee Sin, and then kind of glancing over his gameplay in games 1 and 2 on Viego, it really made it seem like he was like the star of the series, and like every game focused around him and his movement, and then he still took over all 3 games. And so it's really good to see that, like, people really talked about him and his potential, kind of like how people talked about Lyra and on Envious, where like Lyra was the best jungler on that team, with the best player on that team as the jungler, and then Closer kind of came in as well in 2020 with Golden Guardians, where like you could see that he's the shining star of the team, and then like everything just can't get on the same foot as him, it seems like. And then now with this 100 Thieves team, and I guess still parts of the Golden Guardians roster as well, he can really shine when everyone else can hold their weight as well.
Yeah, I agree. He definitely was well deserving of the player of the series. I mean, I think 100 Thieves as a whole, yeah, like you said, they were fucking cracked on Sunday. It really wasn't like close. It was just like 100 Thieves knew what they wanted to do, and they went and fucking did it, and TL just had no answers. I don't know. I don't know. I don't know if they were tilted, like, or just, I think you just get outplayed some days, and that was what happened.
Yeah, and I think it did look like that from across the board. Like, I don't think Alfari was able to get a lead. I don't think Jensen was able to get a substantial lead. Like it feels like for the most part across the board, especially in mid jungle interactions, 100 Thieves were just all around much better that day. And I don't even know, like, it's weird to say that, like, I don't think TL is bad, but something about the meta read on that day, um they kind of found themselves in a place where their champions just weren't keeping up with 100 Thieves, and then also their gameplay just didn't reflect it as a team as well.
Yeah, and I mean, yeah, it is. I think you're right. It's not to say TL is bad for sure. I mean, they beat 100 Thieves. They were the only other team to beat 100 Thieves, right? So
Right.
it it wasn't like it's just always going to be like that, or we expect TL to just be leagues below him. But it was surprising, I feel like, to see them lose as swiftly as they did.
Yeah, definitely surprising. And then, so that this marks 100 Thieves' first trophy in the LCS, and that'll be their first banner for their first LCS first place victory, and the first organization outside of like the usual few who started with the LCS to take home first place as well.
Yeah, what's it? Just the fifth team now to win it, besides the TSM, C9, CLG, TL.
I think that's it. Yeah, I can't think of any more. I think it is those four.
Yeah,
And yeah, all of them were there from the start. If you consider TL to be like Curse and all of that
right.
jazz.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah, definitely a good thing to see a new blood org finally kind of win. I mean, as much as like obviously I'm and we are TSM fans, right? Like it's cool to see them win when they do, but it's nice. It's just a nice thing for the league that it's not always the same.
Yeah, and I imagine this is the way that like Brazil fans have felt for a while as well, because they have like their Brazilian double lift,
Right,
like
BRTT.
BRTT, I think. Yeah,
Bigger
and
than
he's
double
always
lift, pretty
played.
sure. Yeah.
Yeah, and he's always played for like Pain Gaming, I think. And so I'm sure like a lot of people always still root for Pain Gaming and that sort of thing. But I don't think they've gone to Worlds in like a super long time. Um, is my example here, and so like it's cool to see like these new stories arrive in the LCS, and I don't they're not new players making a name for themselves, but at least the organizations can rise up now,
Yeah,
and it makes room for more stories and more excitement for the next year to come.
definitely. And I think it must feel good too to win in a split where it's been so competitive too, that it's not like you're just saying, not everybody can just go, oh well, TSM and CLG or whoever had like just absolute trash like summer splits. Like no wonder you got top three, right? It's not like that. It was a a strong top five of the league, and they come out of it on top, like with a decisive victory. Must feel really good.
Yeah. Is there anything else you want to say about the playoff series from this weekend?
No, I think I'm good.
All right. And then some reporting has continued to go on about the location of the World Championship this year. I believe it has been officially confirmed by Riot that Worlds will take place in Europe this
Hmm.
year as opposed to China. And then a follow up report by Dot Esports, I believe, um, reported yesterday that Worlds would be taking place in Iceland once again, just like how MSI was. Um, and I think that's cool that they're still able to organize a LAN event in these weird times. And one thing that I would like to mention that we saw from MSI is that there was no Vietnamese team able to attend MSI. And also, now that I'm remembering, I don't think there was a Vietnamese team last year at Worlds either. And so I wonder if this year at Worlds, given that it's in Europe again, I wonder if a Vietnamese team will be able to attend the World Championship, or if there's any other countries that, with this kind of like last moment change to the location geographically for the World Championship, are teams going to have difficulties getting travel approved to that location, or even the proper health approval and vaccines to be able to go as well. Or I don't know if vaccines are required, but at least they're going to need like um, some sort of like health approval from either their country or their um,
Or Iceland.
yeah, I would say like their
Yeah.
government to be able to go travel and like and then come back.
Yeah, I think I wouldn't be too worried. I think probably I think the reason why they moved it, right, is so they could get as many teams as possible. I guess that could still mean that some teams, like, they can't get everybody necessarily, but I would assume that the reason that they're going to Iceland is, or to Europe, not necessarily Iceland, is because that was kind of part of the deal, that they would get as many teams as possible. So yeah, I mean, obviously we'll see as more comes out, but it seems like most teams, like, I haven't heard of anybody that's not able to go yet. Obviously, I guess we haven't heard of the Vietnam representative or whatever, that hasn't come through. I just because I don't think we've heard from every region about who their qualifiers are. So, but we'll see.
Yeah, we'll see as that finishes up. I think for a little bit more context on this as well, I think I heard on a talk show that one reason why it might not be held in China anymore is because I believe the original plan was for them to compete in different cities throughout China. And then if they were to do that, then like logistically, they're facing kind of like the I don't want to say lockdown, but the restrictions that each of those jurisdictions would have. And so
Right.
basically, getting there might not be the problem, but then the players might have to stay there even after their world's run ends, or even
Right.
after the world championship ends. Then they still have to stay there for an extra couple weeks, or maybe even a month, just to be able to be cleared to go back home. And so that part is probably the toughest part
Yeah, that
for the
would make
players to have to
sense.
deal with.
Yeah, especially if they, yeah, still wanted to try and go through with the multi-venue situation. I could see how that would be a big burden.
And then speaking of the World Championship, we've now got, I believe, 15 confirmed teams now qualified for the World Championship. Newly added is the teams from the PCS, I believe it's called. First place out of there is Beyond Gaming, who defeated PSG Talon in like a best of series, and who were like um previously undefeated before that for like a super long time. I think they were on like a 20 something win streak. And so just out of nowhere, Beyond Gaming just kind of like took them to 5 games and were able to secure the first seed in their region. And then PSG Talent did follow up right after that. And so they get to have the second seed coming out of their region as well.
Wait, are you sure that Beyond won?
I'm pretty sure.
I'm looking. I
Should
just
I look
because
it
I
up?
didn't know. I googled just Beyond Gaming, and the last match they show is a best of 5 on Sunday that PSG won.
Oh, okay. Maybe Beyond still gets to go to Worlds though, but
Yeah,
maybe they didn't get first place.
yeah, I think so.
Okay, I might be wrong about the first place thing, but for sure these two teams get to go to Worlds. And then on that note, I think for MSI it was I think PSG Talent's AD carry couldn't go or something like that, and so they substituted the AD carry from Beyond Gaming
Yeah, I think
this
that's
past
right.
MSI. And then but this time like the PSG Talent's AD carry is officially approved to be able to go to Worlds. And so he'll be with the whole team will have their whole roster this time around.
Oh, here it looks like Beyond and PSG were in like the winners finals, and then Beyond won that one, and then PSG goes to losers finals. They won that 3-0, and then they matched up again in grands and won that one. So that was
Oh, okay,
you weren't
okay.
wrong that Beyond did win a series, but just not the finals.
Oh, okay. I didn't know it worked out that way. And then finally, we have some representatives confirmed for LPL as well. So we have FPX and EDG now qualified for the World Championship from the Chinese League. I don't believe that their region playoffs is over yet, but these two teams are set for the World Championship now. So that's two of the 4 teams that will be coming out of the LPL.
Yeah, and
Uh,
I've only heard incredibly scary things about both of those teams. And honestly, every LPL team, but FPX sounds like they're just like in in championship form once again.
Yeah, from what I've heard, I've just keep hearing that like Doinby is way better than he was a couple years ago when he had won
Yeah.
the world championship, and now he's got a better supporting cast as well, where they have a really good top laner and a really good jungler as well. And he's still the same like copy paste timer guy as well, so he's just way scarier than before with like a
He just
better
figured out how
mechanics and
to
a bigger
do
champion
how to
pool.
do all the other clicking and button pressing in between the
Yeah, the
timer copy
super wife
pasting.
buff or
Yeah.
something.
He got another wife? Jeez. That's the strat. Shit.
He must have, yeah. Also coming out of LLA is Infinity Esports, who have qualified for the World Championship. I don't
They were
think
in
this is their
MSI,
first
right?
time.
Does that sound right?
I don't remember. I was going to say that like this seems like a familiar name and um, seems like they're doing well as an organization out of that region.
Yeah, I think they did win LA in spring too.
Okay.
So yeah.
Oh,
Same
awesome.
team
Okay.
that we saw at
Dominant
MSI.
year. And then out of Oceania, we do have a different team this time called Team Peace, who beat out Pentanet Gaming in their last series to qualify for Worlds. And so now we've got a whole new squad of players coming out of the Australian region that will be attending the World Championship.
Another team that gets to beat C9, baby.
Yeah, their whole region just gets to embarrass us. We'll see. I hope we get the same group. That would be a good story.
Yeah, it might be a little terrifying.
I
But
hope we get I
it's
hope we get a group of like C9, the Japanese team, and the Oceanic team. I think I would love to see that.
okay, but that will be in play-ins, right? We're not actually. That's
I,
not actually a
no,
real team
yeah,
yet, right? Okay, yeah,
yeah,
yeah.
at
Okay, I'll take
play-ins,
that.
yeah. Okay. I guess we're all done here. Is there anything else you wanna say for this week?
I don't think so. The only I don't know. The only other thing think I thought of during the episode was did you have any opinion on like the Spica versus closer MVP stuff? Like, do you care about it being a like playoffs included award or anything? I've seen a bunch of
Oh,
people talk about that.
yeah, I actually totally forgot to mention that. So Spica is our LCS Summer Split MVP awardee.
True. Let's go.
Who,
TSM. I forgot that
yeah,
that was this
TSM.
week. Yeah.
Yeah, I hella forgot. And they finished first place in the regular split, and he's recognized for his play during the regular split. And then, like we mentioned earlier, closer went absolutely bonkers this past weekend against both C9 and TL. So definitely deserved for playoffs MVP if there is one, and
I
he's
mean, you
at
got
least
player of the
recognized for
finals, right? Yeah, finals
yeah,
MVP kind of.
recognized as MVP of the matches. But I don't think there's an official like overall playoffs MVP. And in that case, I feel like it would almost always be in the winning team or the second place team if that was
Yeah.
the case. Um, and so, anyways, um, I I don't think this answers your question, but I think that the reveal for the MVP of the split could probably be done differently. Now that the schedule is kind of weird, it's like an extended schedule, the extended playoff schedule with the
Yeah.
double bracket, and so it's been like a month since the regular split ended. That we probably don't have to wait that long. I think there was also a bit of a controversy we could talk about as well over in LEC, while we're like somewhat on this topic about like their all pro was announced really late as well. Like it was announced last week, and they're all
Yeah.
pro. It's like it involves like fan votes as well. So there's a fuck ton of G2 players on the top three all pro, um, and so forth.
Yeah.
But back to your speaker versus closer question. I mean, if the people who vote for MVP think that Spica deserved it for the regular season, then give him that reward, and then there I would advocate for another award as well to be recognized for um the entire playoffs run or something like that. Yeah.
Yeah, I agree with that for sure. I think it would be cool if they had like the NBA or I think most professional sports like you'll have a like finals MVP. Like you're either the finals MVP or the World Series MVP or whatever. Like it's not just like it's not playoffs necessarily, but it's just that like championship series. Like it would be cool to see them like, get a little medal that says like I was the LCS finals MVP like when we won it, as opposed to just being like, yeah, you were player of the series and they have him like hold the trophy at the very end, like because he was player of the series. Like that feels a little lame. I agree.
Yeah. I think the only problem here is that there's just no sponsorship for the playoffs MVP, because Spica is
Probably
the,
true. Yeah.
yeah, he's
The
the
Honda
LCS Summer
MVP.
Split 2021 Honda MVP for TSM FTX Spica.
True.
But there's just we need a sponsorship like the LCS Championship Playoffs Cheez-Its MVP award goes to closer or something like that.
Yeah, I think that must be it, huh? Fuck. All right,
Yeah.
I'm gonna call up Riot HQ right now and tell them that look, we need to find a sponsor for this award because
Yeah.
it's clearly a good opportunity. I don't
And if
know.
they need it, we can settle a deal for naming rights to On the Hunt or something like that.
Right? Yeah,
We
yeah,
could
yeah.
figure it out.
At least for the inaugural one, right? Like, I mean, that's just that's just a gimme kind of at that point.
Oh yeah, and then I guess we could talk about so LEC is concluded as well. Mad Lions beat Fnatic 3-1, so Mad Lions will be the first seed out of LEC. Um, I think I tuned in for a bit of that series, and I think it was exciting to watch, and I'm excited to see all of the European teams at Worlds. Maybe except Rogue, um, but the first two places I'm excited to see them at Worlds to see the ruckus that they can bring, and then also LCK playoffs somewhat concluded as well. I believe they're still doing Gauntlet to determine their fourth seed,
Mhm.
but Damwon versus T1 took place, and that one ended in a 3-1 for Damwon, where they still look like they're in great form whenever they really calls for it. And so I guess that's going to be another pick of the week, given that we missed one last week. is for Khan, who will be going off to military service after this World Championship, I believe,
Yeah,
because you're just forced to over there.
yeah,
And
he needs
so
to. It's been too long.
I believe he's won the LCK 6 times now across like many different teams. He's gone to China, back to the LCK as well. So it's pretty a good time for this guy out there in the Eastern world.
Yeah, definitely, definitely. Yeah, those are good shouts. I think I tuned into I definitely tuned into the LEC finals too. Um, I don't know that one. I'm really impressed at how good Mad Lions has looked out of EU in these playoffs. Like, I think they kind of had the same kind of look that 100 Thieves did in a way, where I don't think people thought they were bad going into playoffs, but I don't think people thought that they were gonna like stomp and like win. Where maybe that was how 100 Thieves looked going into like this final weekend. That was kind of how Mad Lions showed up like for the whole playoffs. Like they just took down everyone in their path, and it was like, who's gonna somebody's gonna show up and beat them, right? And it just never happened. So I'm pretty impressed at how strong they look going into Worlds, and I'll be excited to see them for sure.
Hell yeah. Okay, and that's going to be it for episode 28 of On the Hunt, a League of Legends podcast. I hope you all enjoyed it, and if you did, be sure to subscribe to our podcast on the service that you are listening to us on if you haven't already subscribed. We'd appreciate it if you also give us a rating or hit the like button to show us some support. You can find us on YouTube as well as your podcast player of choice, from Apple Podcasts to Spotify and so forth. I don't know when we'll see you next, but we'll see you next time on the next episode of On the Hunt.
So long, folks.
Is that like a Looney Tunes thing?
I think so, kind of. I don't think I did quite the. Well, it's That's All, Folks. I think the Looney
Oh,
Tunes
okay,
song.
okay, okay,
Yeah, yeah,
yeah.
yeah.